There probably isn't a parent who hasn't at one time or another wished that their children could be knocked into shape by a drill sergeant. A few weeks in the Army, you may have said, that would teach those kids a thing or two. Well, there's one school which operates on exactly that philosophy. It's in southern Ontario and is Canada's only private military school. Now, in its 4th year of operation, it was founded to help boys who couldn't seem to learn in the large classes and academic freedom of most schools today. This year, 75 boys have signed up to salute, work, and march their way into manhood.
Father, we ask for your guidance today and the next 2 days on our mission, and we hope we will be worthy. Amen.
Right turn! 1, 2, 1. By the left, right wheel, quick march!
It's 6 a.m., just a few miles from Niagara Falls. Somewhere nearby, youngsters are rolling over in bed, indulging themselves in an extra hour of sleep before school.
All right, only 49 miles, 1,500 meters.
But here, at the Robert Land Academy, Canada's only private military school, it's 0600 hours, and the day has already begun. They had told me that this was one tough school, and that this was the sort of day that exemplifies just what it's all about.
The Robert Land Academy encourages 5 qualities: loyalty, honor, courage, commitment, and labor. This first big test of the school year pretty clearly falls into the labor category. A 3-day, 54-mile march across the Niagara Peninsula with full pack.
The boys of Robert Land, who range from 10 to 17 years of age, have been marching to a special beat since 1978.
We are in the middle of Operation Inspiration, Bob.
That was when Scott Bowman, then himself only 26 years old, saw the need for a school which provided a combination of strict discipline, a fundamental curriculum, and a strong emphasis on moral values that couldn't be found elsewhere.
What are they getting here now?
Besides sore feet?
This fellow on the other side of you, what is he getting, set of blisters perhaps, out of this that he wouldn't be getting if he were in a public school back in Toronto or Vancouver?
We're in the process here of giving these young fellows the beginnings of a very solid base of discipline, of confidence in themselves.
And he would not get that in the public school system?
In our opinion, no. No.
Bowman's confidence in his boys is borne out. 3 days later, they return to the school, having completed something that many of them would have thought impossible just one short month before.
Gentlemen, very well done. 50-odd miles, 3 days. They said it couldn't be done. We did it. Well done. Who are we?
Yes! Attention! We're the Jets from Robert Land! Ray, Raleigh, BC, Jolly, Robert Land! Rah, rah, E.M. rah! Feels good.
The principle here is that the lessons learned on the march can be transferred to the classroom. Whether those 54 miles will save any souls academically remains to be seen. That they've been hard on the souls is beyond dispute. The Robert Land Academy is not your average school. There are no t-shirts and blue jeans here, no noon-hour cigarettes in the parking lot, no cutting class. But even at a time when many educators favor a return to fundamentals, getting back to basics and discipline, there are many who might take exception to the spit and polish image and the hard rock routine of Robert Land.
Yes, sir!
Todd Sanical. Todd Sanical, why are you different than everybody else? Where's your gabardine?
On one side of the argument is the view that too much regimentation is a bad thing. That what is needed, especially in this era of automation, is less conformity and more individualism. On the other side would be Scott Bowman's ancestor, Colonel Robert Land, the United Empire loyalist for whom the school is named.
How's the schedule for the Christmas exams looking? Very well. Yeah? Very well.
Bowman has based his school on the strict 18th century values, which he says were so dear to the old man.
All right, if the arguments are that
Sure.
there's too little flexibility, that there's too little room for individualism and self-expression, that there's too much conformity, what do you say? How do you answer?
Let's take them one at a time. First of all, in terms of individualism, I think that criticism is made because of this. We all wear the same uniform. Many other private schools have a uniform. The boys all wear the same. This is no different. Individuality, yes, we are in definite favor of it. Yes, it has to be. Yes, it is a must for a man to develop. But clearly, in adolescence, that's the time to learn it. Gentlemen, this is Robert Land's tunic that he wore in the War of 1812.
In battle?
In battle.
That's the original.
Yes,
This is his battle tunic.
Oh, look at the doohickey
Look at
on
the gold.
his shoulder.
Look at the gold on his shoulder.
That's excellent.
Learning hasn't always come easily to many of the boys at Robert Land. According to Bowman, who also teaches history at the school, most of his 75 students were lost in the sprawling and impersonal public school system. Here, for $8,000 a year, they get intimate classes, a core curriculum more oriented to science and social studies than the arts and culture, and tight around-the-clock supervision.
You're talking to someone, me, who is a product of education in the 1960s when things were increasingly open, more and more flexible. Everything was oriented towards an individual student. How would you expect me to look upon your school?
You have to look at the boys. Look at their faces. You watched them running today. You watched them on the march. You've watched them in the dining hall. You'll see them on parade tomorrow. Those will tell you.
What you sometimes do see in the boys of Robert Land is fear, particularly on their first try at scaling the 3-story rappel tower, 30 feet from wind-blown top to bottom.
Okay, a little bounce. A little more. A little more. Okay, back in position. Okay,
In theory, this exercise develops a standard mountaineering technique. In practice, it's used to build the Robert Land brand of courage.
Watch the way he ties us on, please. I feel like surviving the evening. Number 1 on rappel!
Lower yourself back, legs straight. Legs straight. Lower yourself back. More chin. A little more, a little go. And go. A little more. A little bit more. Okay, take a step down more. Take a step. Ian's got you. Plant your feet. Okay, relax. Stop there. Okay, hold yourself here. Look over your shoulder where you're going. Where you go. Okay, just walk down the wall. Okay. Now, a little bounce. Oh, good.
Whether it's the courage needed to step off the rappel tower for the first time, or the labor and commitment demanded by a 54-mile hike, there's an almost constant emphasis on values at the Robert Land Academy.
8, 9.
But the burden of that moral instruction doesn't trouble the school's director of studies, Ed Godden.
Is there not a problem when you aspire to teach values? It is a very subjective thing. It depends very much whose concept of loyalty, whose concept of honor, whose concept of courage you're talking about.
Yes. I would agree with you. That's a subjective
Arbitrarily,
thing.
then, how do you decide what loyalty is, or what sense of courage you should give to these kids?
Well, a lot of it, I think, at this school, because of our size and the intimacy, in a sense, it's worked out together in any kind of responsible situation, like a family or a school. That's certainly what's supposed to happen.
The way it happens at Robert Land is with precision. From rise and shine, through classes and extracurricular activities to lights out, these boys, some as young as 11 years old, are expected to perform to military standards. Be where you're told to be on time, don't talk back, always say, sir.
Attention!
But if, in a place like this, the choices are made for you, by definition, is it not going to be more difficult to make those choices on your own when you're out in the real world?
Only if the system were so prohibitive in terms of letting you make choices that it never let you graduate to the state where you could make your own choices. What our system says to the boys is a much healthier kind of a message, that you will graduate from this system, you will leave this nest, and you will no longer need its supports, because you will be able, yourself, as a competent, capable person, to go out into the world and make your own decisions and live by them.
At Robert Land, the rules are spelled out in a discipline code. Punishment is unashamedly physical. For minor offenses, talking in class or not doing homework, there are laps around the parade square or work details.
Start over. Pick it up, pay your debt, let's go.
The most notorious form of discipline is the dreaded number 14, so called because it's the 14th item on the list, and because it involves 14 laps around the soccer field, carrying a pack which weighs up to 35 pounds.
You're talking here about fear of having to run around that soccer field with a full pack on, keeping somebody from repeating the offense. Is that right?
When limits are given, when the structure is very clear, when boys choose to challenge the structure in a negative way, yes, very clearly the consequences are laid out beforehand.
Just looking at one of the items in your disciplinary code, you can get laps around the soccer field, full pack, for insubordination, serious crime, or cowardice. And in brackets after cowardice, it says, especially running away.
Mm-hmm.
Do boys run away?
Yes.
How do you deal with it?
We deal with that in two ways. Depends on the age of the boy, depends on the situation, depends on how and where he went.
Do you treat it as cowardice?
It is treated, again, individually with each boy.
Here it says cowardice, especially running away. The two are linked.
They're linked, yeah.
Is running away cowardice as far as...
In many ways it is, yes it is.
We're talking here about 10 or 11-year-old boys, many of them away from home for the first time, running away. Is that not a natural reaction to this sort of circumstance?
It is a form of cowardice in the sense that it is not a courageous act. It is the form of allowing the immature part of your personality to rule you.
I stand here because I didn't want to work at school. My education was low. I was put in special ed for 2 or 3 years, and they told me I wasn't smart enough to go into an ordinary class.
Here at Robert Land, the stories seldom vary. These kids with the discipline problems, the slow learners, the children whose parents and teachers simply couldn't deal with them.
Is that a similar story with the rest of you guys? You just,
I
for
was
one reason
lazy.
or other, you can't make it someplace else?
Lazy.
Lazy. That's all it is.
Thing.
It took me 3 years to adjust. And to say to myself, wake up, you know, you're at Robert Land, and you're going to try it. And I've been trying, and I think I'm going to make it.
Everybody knows that nothing is ideal. What's the bad side here? What don't you like about Robert Land?
Punishment.
Punishment.
Discipline.
You just told me that discipline was the good part of it.
It is. It is.
No,
but
well, discipline's good. It's receiving it that isn't so good.
Yeah, receiving.
I've
You mean in the long run it's good, in the short term it's not so great.
Right,
like
because
14s.
like I've done a rock pile, and that's when you go on a pile with a concrete, a slash hammer, and you smash concrete all day, and you get bread and water.
What had you done?
Well, I made a wrong comment
To whom?
to a young lady, and I was punished for it.
And I got a...
And I think that was fair.
You know, there are people out there,
14.
when they hear about you running around the soccer field with a pack, when they hear about you working on the rock pile because you've done something
I think
wrong,
it's a horrible place.
they'll say,
It's not.
exactly, this is not a place for
The
kids.
first, that's the
No,
problem, I
it-
think.
But that's the
It
problem.
is,
I think it's
That's
hard.
the problem. Parents are too soft. They don't know how much we can do, and we can do a lot.
I wish you all a very happy and safe Thanksgiving. Be sure to remind your parents of all the things that you have learned. I'm sure they're anxiously awaiting you. Have a good, safe weekend, and I'll look forward to seeing you all at 2000 hours sharp Monday night. Academy, by the left wheel, quick, march!
After just 3 years of operation, it's too early to tell if the Robert Land Academy can instill lasting values and self-discipline, whether it will turn out graduates ready to face adulthood in a difficult world, or young men better equipped to follow than to lead.